annual salary is usually between 40 to 50,000 pounds annually. This
Wow.
is before tax. This is before tax, keep in mind. So,
Okay.
however, it's a bit less than what is supposed to be. The rates are not being quite adjusted accurately with the rate of inflation.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your beautiful baby girl Khemzy. Oh, if you are new to this channel, my channel is all about relocation tips, life abroad, and faith. If you haven't subscribed, why not subscribe to my channel? Click the like button and turn on your notification bell so that when I drop a new video, you'll be among the first to be notified. And guys, we have on the channel a special guest, and it's going to be walking us through the step-by-step processes of how foreign trained medical doctors can practice in the United Kingdom. He's going to introduce himself, guys, but hi, you have to like this video and share it, because at the end of today's video, you're going to get value from it. So you're welcome, Aya, to my channel. Can you please introduce yourself?
Total pleasure. Hello, everyone. My name is Ayo, medical doctor here in the UK. I've been at it for quite a while, and yeah, it's not been a bad experience at all, and I am happy to be here.
And we are happy to have you. Everyone is excited to have you. Okay, so you currently live in the United Kingdom and you practice as a doctor in the United Kingdom. So
Yep.
how long have you been in the United Kingdom practicing as a medical doctor?
So I came to the UK 2 years ago in April, and it's been quite a ride since then. Yeah, so it's
Okay.
been 2 years and a month. Yeah.
Okay, so where do you currently work in the United Kingdom?
Yeah, at the moment, I actually work with the NHS. So I work in a
Okay.
hospital called the University Hospital of Leicester. So it's one of the hospitals in the Midland of England. So
Okay.
yeah, I
All
work in the
right. Thank
NHS.
you very much. Okay, so let's get straight to the video. So if I'm a doctor from Nigeria or from
Yeah.
Ghana or from any part of the world, and I intend to come to the United Kingdom to practice, can you walk us through the process of how a foreign trained doctor can practice in the United Kingdom?
It's a long process. It's not a very difficult process as such, but it's quite time intensive and capital intensive. Um, it usually starts with the process of you getting a license to work as a doctor in the UK. And before you get a license, there is a list of things you have to go through to be able to secure
Mhm.
your license. It's called a GMC license. A GMC license is a license given by the General Medical Council, which is the regulatory body of the UK health
Okay.
doctor system. And if you get a license, then you can be able to apply for jobs and hopefully work in the UK. Before you get a GMC license, you need to pass your exam, which is called a PLAB exam. So
Okay.
PLAB exam stands for Professional Linguistic Assessment Boards. So it's the name of exam to
Mhm.
assess doctors and their competence and safety to practice in the UK, so to speak. So the PLAB exam has two parts. There's a PLAB 1 and there's the PLAB 2. So the
Okay.
PLAB 2 is the last step you need before you can get a GMC license. So
Okay.
the GMC license is the last step. Before that, you need your PLAB 2. Before your PLAB 2, you need your PLAB 1. Before your
Mhm.
PLAB 1, you need what we call an English test to show
Okay.
that you understand the English language. So the
Mhm.
English assessment test can either be of two types. There's one called the IELTS, and there's the other one that is called the OET, depending on
Okay.
the one you are comfortable with and the one you can afford, because the prices are quite different, up to like 3.5 times difference.
Okay.
Yeah, so before the OET or before the IELTS, you need to have an international passport.
You need to write
Yeah.
an IELTS, and must it be the general or the academic version?
Your PLAB exams will be the academic IELTS.
Oh, so is
Yeah.
there a minimum band you have to score in the sections?
The cutoff you need as a doctor is 7.5 average, which is called a band, but you're allowed to have as low as 7 in one component. So what I mean is, if you have 7, 7, 8, and 8, and your average is 7.5, you can go. But if your
Okay.
average is 7.0, it will not be enough. So average of 7.5 or a minimum of 7.0 in a single component. Yeah, so that's like the cutoff for the IELTS.
So once you've passed that, you need to apply for the PLAB exam. What is the website for the exam, and what is the fee attached to that?
So if you go online and you type in Google gmc.org, it will take you to the website. And on that website, there's an itinerary of things that you have access to, ranging from the booking of the exam, reading about the exam, the cost of the exam, the booking times, when to apply for license, requirements for license, and a few other things. So yeah, almost every information you need for this journey you can find on the GMC website.
Do you have to pass or write the IELTS exam before you take the PLAB exam, or you can decide to do the exam first before the IELTS?
Oh, wish I could just do the exam before the IELTS, but unfortunately, it is one of the requirements. So now let's go to PLAB 1. What is PLAB 1? So PLAB 1, like I said, the full name of the exam is the Professional Linguistic Assessment Board. It's a multiple choice question exam that contains about 180 questions over 180 minutes, which gives you an average of 1 minute per question. Yes, exam can be done in almost every country. So you don't have to travel to the UK to do this exam. That's the good thing about PLAB 1. Where can you take the exam? So you can take the exam generally in your country of residence, but it's not every country. It's not everyone that needs to do a PLAB 1 exam. I'll talk about the exceptions. So exceptions include number one, people from the UK. So UK medical graduates, we don't have to do the PLAB 1 exam, obviously.
Yes.
Number two, EU nationals don't have to sit this exam as well. However, if you're from mostly anywhere else, you would have to sit this exam. So they have centers all around the world. For Nigeria, for instance, we've got centers in Lagos, we have one in Abuja, we have one in Enugu. In Africa, we've got Nigeria, we've got Ghana in the west. In the north, we've got Egypt. In the east, we've got Kenya. And down south, we've got South Africa. Then in Asia, in Southern Asia, they've got India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka. In the Middle East, you've got Saudi, you've got the UAE, you've got centers in Australia as well, in Canada. Yeah, so these are most of the countries where you can sit, your PLAB 1.
Wow.
Unfortunately, yeah.
You're very good in geography.
I think I had an A in geography. So for your PLAB 1 exam, you need to try to book in advance because this exam is done 4 times in a year, typically. First one comes in February, then the next one is in 3 months later in May, then under 3 months later in August, then under 3 months later in, that should be November. So February, May, August, November, these are the months you can sit your PLAB 1 exam. So if you are going to do the PLAB 1 exam, it will be prudent for you to book well in advance because the seats are very competitive to get.
Okay.
Yeah. So you need to book well in advance to write your PLAB 1.
What is the cutoff mark? You said there are about 180 questions, which is done in 3 hours. That's 180 minutes. So is there a certain or a set up cutoff mark?
Depends on when you write the exam. So I think they try to plot the average of how well or how badly everyone did, which is going to determine the cutoff mark for that particular batch of candidates. Yeah. But usually it's about ranging between 60, maybe late 60s to early 70s, maybe 66 to like 72. Yeah.
Percentage?
Yeah, percent, yeah.
Percent. Oh, that's very good. And how is the success rate? How has it been so far?
Well, like someone I know usually says, they will say the only thing that is easy is something you've already, passed. So I wouldn't say it's easy or it's difficult, but it's an exam that certainly, if you don't get yourself together, can really, put you in a not very good place. So it's a really interesting exam. It gives you a chance to learn so many things because you are compelled to cover an entire levels of topics, ranging across different medical areas. So it's actually an exciting exam to sit and prepare for. If you do have the time, we would recommend maybe 2 to 3 months of preparing. But everyone is different. The baseline you're starting from might be different from the baseline I'm starting from. It's something to be scared about. If you're fortunate enough to, plan well ahead, timing, and have the right materials to prepare, and you do mock exams, then I honestly don't see any reason why, you shouldn't pass the exam, so to speak.
Okay, so that brings us to the next question. So how do people get resources for this exam?
GM's website, I would recommend you to be the first source of, of reference for you. Anything at all you need in this UK journey, the GM's website is your number one source Okay. Now there are other places you can augment with. Particularly, most people like to use. This is not advertisement. I've not been paid. I promise it's not a paid promotion. There's this website called Plabable. So Plabable is one resource that people really enjoy. I actually did it as well. You subscribe for up to 3 months of mock questions, explanations, practices, and stuff like that. It's really, really handy and resourceful. So Plabable is one of the things you can do. Some other resources as well, but that was one of the main ones I would say.
Main ones.
Yeah.
Okay. So are there any number of attempts? Like if someone writes the exam and fails, do you have a maximum number of attempts you can write the PLAB 1 exam?
You can write the exam up to a maximum of 4 times.
In
So
a
you're
year,
allowed
or the total time of, for that process?
time or the duration. Maybe you write one this year or two this year, another one maybe the following year. But a total of attempts you're allowed to make is 4. So you're allowed to fail up to 3 times. Then
Wow.
yeah.
So if you
So
fail the first time, you can practice.
unfortunately, as far as I know, it will be impossible to practice as a doctor in the UK via the PLAB routes. There are other routes to get to UK as a doctor. But
Oh,
for the purposes of this video, the PLAB routes, that will probably be the end of the journey for the person. Yeah.
so is there negative marking?
Good. There's no negative marking, guys. So please
Good.
answer all your questions. I know medical school growing up in Nigeria, they tell you if you're not sure, don't this one answer, tick everything, leave nothing unticked. If you don't know the answer, if you're not sure, pick something. At the end of the exam, you can come back and check and pick something else, but don't leave anything empty, please. Yeah. PLAB 2 is the second step of the exams you need towards it, attaining the GMC license. The exam itself is more of what we call an OSCE, so objective structure clinical exam, I believe, where you are given a patient or someone that will simulate a patient. So for instance, Kemi might be a paid actor to be a patient, and you'll be given a clinical scenario. So for instance, Kemi might walk into the room and tell you, oh, doctor, I'm not feeling too well. So you have to talk to her, interact, get a history, do an examination, maybe do some tests as well. So you're going to be assessed. Someone is going to be in the room looking at you whilst you're doing this and see how you do. So that's an OSCE PLAB 2. So that is the structure of PLAB 2 exam. And it's got usually about 18 stations. So you need to pass at least 12 stations. You need to pass a minimum number of stations. And you also need to get a minimum number of points in total. So for instance, let's say you pass out of 18 stations, you pass like 17 out of 18. That's good. But if your total score, maybe for each of them, out of 4 total points, you're getting like 2, 2, 2. If your total score is not up to the cutoff mark for that particular exam, you might still be counted as having failed the exam. So there are two criteria to pass it. One, the total number of stations you passed. Other one is the actual average score,
So
total
what is
points.
the average score?
It's usually, of course, based on the performance of candidates on that particular day. But usually the pass rate is also about 69%. At least over the past 5 years, it's about 69 to 70% average. So yeah, it's not it's a special exam, but it's not too difficult. It's the kind of exam where when you finish, you really can't say whether or not you passed or not. Unlike the PLAB 1 exam, you can really go there and be like, oh, I did well. But the PLAB 2, this moment you can think you did really well, and you go home and you just start thinking you did really badly as well. So yeah, PLAB 2 exam is a big exam. And the biggest thing about PLAB 2 exam is not the exam itself, but the circumstances, surrounding the exam. Unlike the PLAB 1 exam, the PLAB 2 exam is only done one place in the world. That is in
Where
the
is
city
that?
of Manchester in the United Kingdom.
Wow. So people have to come to United Kingdom to write PLAB 2 exam.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Unfortunately,
Mm.
it is as of now. So if you've never been to the UK, pack your bags, get ready to go to Manchester.
Oh, okay. So how many times in a year is the exam usually written?
Oh yeah, that's the thing for PLAB 2 exam. It's quite different from PLAB 1 because there's just one venue. Logistically speaking, they made a very um helpful decision, which is to make sure that PLAB 2 is done several times in a year. So unlike PLAB 1 that is done just 4 times in a year, PLAB 2 is done all year round. So every month and several times in a month.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah. For those of you who are not in the UK, you need to get to
Mm.
Manchester. You need to have a travel document called a visa.
And guys, I'm going to be putting the link in the description box of all the websites mentioned in this video. How has it been? How is it the difference between practicing as a doctor in the UK and practicing as a doctor in Nigeria?
One thing that is cornerstone to practicing in the UK is the fact that almost everything that is done is according to guidelines that are evidence-based.
Mm.
So you do things based on the guidelines. Everything is structured, which is good for professional, consistency across the board. So what that does is it makes sure that there's a minimum level of quality that is consistent to and that everyone adheres to across the board. Yeah. And it's also good for patient safety. The patient is literally the centerpiece of healthcare, which is the way it should be naturally. But practicing in the UK is more evidence-based, more structured. The quality of healthcare there is more consistent across the board. This is something personally I've found and I'm appreciative of, certainly.
Wow. I'm glad you enjoy your new role. How was it like, fitting into the system, people from different race, different culture background, different beliefs?
More than, like you said, just your medical knowledge. It's also about being able to work in a team, in a diverse team, particularly because the UK, like you said, is a multicultural environment, especially the NHS. It's one of the beauties of the NHS, the multicultural environment. I had colleagues, yeah, that are from, and I had an Italian colleague, I had someone from Bulgaria, had someone from Malta, has someone that is from Netherlands, from India,
All
from
over the world.
Nepal. They are literally colleagues from all over. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
experience, like you said, and being able to appreciate the differences is one of the things that makes it more worthwhile. And initially, I have to admit that it can be quite overwhelming, because different cultures have different, tendencies, and you need to be able to appreciate the nuances and the difference on how you talk to people, how you communicate to people, and how best you can get across to them.
Next question people want to know, how do they get jobs? Especially people that are overseas. They want to come to the United Kingdom, and I'm sure they will need a visa sponsorship.
You're going to apply for jobs on the official NHS website. This is my recommendation. There are other agencies out there who might also offer you jobs. This is dependent on you. Do your own research. But officially, your best bet is with the NHS website. So you can, depending on what you would like to work on, if you like to work in maybe say A&E or surgery or medicine or psychiatry or anywhere. But usually the jobs are classified into two broadly. The jobs where you can train and the one where you don't train. So a training job or a non-training job.
Doctors are in demand in the United Kingdom. So I'm going to put the link of the NHS website in the description box where you can probably sign up and you might get a lot of notification whenever a job is being advertised.
For a junior doctor role, annual salary is usually between 40 to 50,000 pounds annually.
Wow.
This is before tax. Keep in mind. So,
Okay.
however, it's a bit less than what is supposed to be. The rates of doctor pay in the UK have not been quite adjusted accurately with the rate of inflation.
Back home, you have what we call registrars, senior registrars, and consultants. Do they have something like that here in the UK?
Oh, certainly. It's a very similar process, like you said. The top of the role is the consultant. Then in between, you have registrars, which are basically trainees. Registrars have different levels. There are the junior ones and the more senior ones, depending on the specialty you're planning to go into. Some are like 3 years for a general practitioner, and others are a bit longer, maybe for surgeons and people that would like to do medical specialties like cardiology, neurology, and the likes.
Well, I want to go more personal, if you don't mind, and it's for information purpose so that people will have an idea. So if you're a doctor and you're not practicing, what I'm going to ask him now, it's going to be like an eye opener and it will make you dust that book, read your books, and go for your exam. So I are truthfully on an average, I'm not saying tell me your exact salary, but on average, how much do you earn as a junior doctor in the United Kingdom?
I think my family members and my village people have sent me after me this afternoon.
You're not looking into my eyes. You're not looking at the camera. We want to see you.
I will not proceed without my lawyers. I would not say me personally, but I would say my colleagues. Yeah,
Okay.
average of
And I know
about
you're inclusive. You're inclusive.
being a junior doctor in the UK. So basically an SHO, F2, ST1, CT1. Usually your take home in a month is depending on how much, how many calls you do night duty. Is usually around neighborhood of about £3,000, usually after tax within that neighborhood. So a bit less or a bit more, depending on how you do. So that is usually the case, I would say.
Guys, £3,000. Oh God. Anyways, thank you very much, Ayo. We are really grateful for this information. Like I said, guys, I'm going to put all the resources mentioned in this video in the description box. We don't want the video to be so long, so you guys can watch. Have medical doctors around you, or you want to start a career as a doctor, you've heard from the horse's mouth. He said it all. Just begin the process. It's not a difficult one. Go to the GMC website and it will explain everything. And you can always rewatch the video if you've missed any step. Thank you very much, Ayo, for sharing this lovely and beautiful tip to my viewers. And before we go, can you just tell people to subscribe to my channel, please?
Please subscribe to Chemy's channel. Honestly, I'm not just saying this because she's my friend. She's actually one of the most, amazing and meticulous people I
Oh,
know. If Kemi is giving you information, then you best believe that it is well researched information and it is information of very good quality. So I'll recommend you subscribe for your own good, for fun, and for knowledge. Thank you for having
thank you
me.
very much. Bye for now.
Pleasure. Thank